All right, guys. My name's Doug McCarthy. When people bring up certain issues, I lean a little bit towards Republican, but I have voted independent for the last 6 elections, and that's kind of where I'm at. And so we decided to come up with this hopefully podcast where people will listen to and understand the common sense of where we come from. And I don't know if we're necessarily going to point out the hypocrisies, but we're going to point out some. We're going to point out our point of views, hopefully get some left wing people on here, some right wing people on here, some people in neutrality, a whole lot of people that are a whole lot smarter than I am. I mean, I'm a high school graduate with a drunk education from college. So from there on, it's just is where I came from. So, again, my name's Doug McCarty. Andy, you want to introduce yourself and give yourself a little play?
Andy Tingwald here. Doug and I are from Omaha, Nebraska originally. I still live in Omaha. Yes, I look much younger than Doug. Not really,
Absolutely.
actually. I feel much older than Doug, but some days I look young. Yeah, we didn't hang out a ton in high school. We hung out a little bit, or so passing in the hallways, things like that. We said hi. We were good to each other, and I probably haven't seen you in person in 35, 37 years, something like that, maybe even longer. So unfortunately, or fortunately, social media brought us kind of back together, and uh, I have quite a few former Burke friends and those high school friends. I like to think that they're all good people. They have good intentions, and so I'm uh, I'm actually a registered Republican. You'll probably hear me say things that sound nothing registered Republican like. Um, I think, when you are grown up, when you grow up in a home where your parents are very Republican, um, you go to church and your church is kind of determines who you are for years and years. So you kind of stay the things that your parents did. So, if your parents were Republican, you were probably Republican. If your parents went to a Presbyterian church like mine did, you claim yourself as a Presbyterian. Um, we stood up every day in class, at least in elementary class. I don't remember doing it anywhere else, but we said the Pledge of Allegiance, things
Yeah.
like that. So there are those kind of things that get indoctrinated in you, um, which I kind of think is kind of funny because at some point in time we'll talk about indoctrination and things that uh, you know both sides probably want uh, all Americans to do, and so it'll be interesting to see where we go with this. But biggest thing is, Doug and I get along just fine. Yeah, we both like to poke the bear on social media. All my friends know that I'm a bear poker. Um,
Right.
I don't mind seeing what people will say and how they will react to my posts. I know that sometimes, and I know my partner Laura, she's like, "You need to shut up more."
No,
So we'll see how this
no,
goes after the whole podcast thing.
no. If I still got a turkey neck, I'm not going to stop talking.
They had to cut my turkey neck a while back, so
Yeah, they did
so
mine
we'll
like 6 years
yeah.
ago. But all right, so who the hell's gonna let us have a fucking podcast? And excuse my French, but who's gonna let us have a podcast? Who? Why? What the hell? I mean, it's absolutely crazy with what we were just talking about prior to coming on here and hitting record. Is we were talking about social media and what that's done for everybody on the planet. Everybody has an opinion now, and people can have a silent opinion, kind of what we do. But I use my name and everything. I don't care who sees my name and my post. If I want to keep responding, I will keep responding. Otherwise, I will stop at some point and just let it go, and
Yeah.
that will annoy them even more. Um, so it's just one of those things. Who lets us have a podcast? Number one is the Constitution. That's who lets us have a podcast, because now we can say and do anything we want. And I think that's the ultimate goal, what everybody's after. Um, is certain things being pushed in the Constitution today? Absolutely. There's a couple of things that I keep saying that we need to clean the swamp. It was kind of coined and termed when Trump was in office last time. He kept saying he wants to clean the swamp, clean the swamp, clean the swamp. Well, it's still not happening. He's doing a lot of signing, but nobody's getting cleaned. And I think until we put term limits on everything in the House, nothing's ever going to change. Everybody's going to be in it for themselves, because once you get into Senate, once you get into the House, and you keep getting voted back in, you have nothing to lose after that point, because now you're set up for life with payment, number one. You're set up for life with health care, number two. You have nothing to lose. So I think all that needs to go away. And when they go back into society after a 12-year term, I think they need to go back in as themselves, and they need to pay for everything themselves.
I would agree with that. I think
It used to
there
be
is some drain the swamp that needs to happen, right? We can all
yeah,
agree that both sides have major issues, and they both have people that have been in for forever. I mean, that you shouldn't be dying in office.
right.
And we have some people that have died in office recently, and at the rate we're going, we're going to have a few more, because it's just, we got some people that are in their 89, 90, 91 years old. That's just, I understand that, we want to be realistic about ageism and whatnot, but term limits, I've rarely met anyone in my life. In fact, I don't know that I have met anyone that said, "Yeah, we don't need term limits. That's dumb." Everybody I know says we should have term limits. So at some point in time, that sure would be a nice thing. Um, but that doesn't, you know, it's not how politicians get rich, is get in and get out. And
There's a
so
key statement you just said.
get rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're using it for. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out. And again, we're not on here just to bash the Senate, the House, Trump, Biden, the left, the right. We're on here to talk about basically whatever it is we want to talk about, whatever you people want to hear when it comes to common sense of living, common sense of the world, common sense of the House, the Senate, and all that kind of stuff. But our main arguments, or our main banter over the last couple of years has been about Trump, has been about Biden, has been about socialisms and what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine, just certain informations. I think all that kind of shit. But granted, we have to go over there and we have to do things, but do we at the amount of effort that we do put into it? I mean, put in half that effort into our housing problem. Put an effort into our country versus everybody else's, and I that's kind of what I see what Trump's trying to do. But the worst part about it, he knows he only has 4 years to do something, and everything that he's doing, 80% of it's going to get cut in the next president, unless it's JD Vance.
Yeah, I'm Biden had the same problem, right? He put in a whole bunch of things and they just didn't get, and that's where I read an interesting thing recently on the Atlantic that the Democrats need to figure out how to run on that premise going forward, that when they get back into office again at some point in time, assuming we have elections again and assuming there are, all these kinds of things, um, that they need to run on the premise that they can actually not only pass some sort of legislation, but enforce it and get it done. And in 4 years, there's just so much red tape. We've created this red tape society that, you know, uh, perfect example. Let's say OSHA is one of them. OSHA's needed, right? We know that OSHA is a very important thing in the world of housing and building and all the, infrastructure, whatnot. But it makes it so hard. If you need to build a bridge, you need to build a bridge right now. It's probably not going to happen. Um, I think in Pennsylvania when they had, I think it was Pennsylvania when a portion of I-95, a truck went under, blew up, the bridge melted, and that closed I-95. Well, that's such an important place that they were able to figure out how to get it done in a very short period of time when it normally would have taken a very long time to rebuild that bridge. So it's one of those things where I think the Democrats, if they want to get back into power, they would want to run someone on that premise that, hey, when we're doing something, we can actually get it done and make it stick, as opposed to the big infrastructure bill where only parts of it stuck or whatever it might be. So certainly, I think there's going to be you're going to see some changes in how these parties run going forward for sure.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't think the right will change. I think they figured out their recipe is kind of push and bully and work your way through and just keep pushing and bullying. That's just kind of their thing, and a lot of
I
people
don't know if
like
that
that.
is that the right or is that the left?
And I think the right's. I think the right is the one that wants to. I mean,
I mean, the left's the one firebombing everything right now.
they're firebombing everything because of what's going on. I think it's just a reaction, but um,
Yeah.
I don't know that when I say bully, I mean they're actually bully tactics. I mean,
Oh God.
Trump has Zelensky come in and he tries to make him look like a wuss. And then 2 days ago, Zelensky is the one going, "Who's holding the cards? Me. I'm
Yeah.
holding the cards. Look what I just did to Russia." So, those are the why are we bullying Canada? What the heck is that?
I
What
have
is
no
that all
idea.
about? What do we want? We don't need Greenland. Stop. This is dumb. Those are bully tactics. And when I say bully tactics, they're also just squirrel tactics. Squirrel, squirrel,
Yeah.
look over here. Look over here. You know, don't pay
The
attention to
Greenland the
my
Green the
don't pay
Greenland thing is
attention to
just
my meme coin that I'm going to make
yeah.
billions off of. Those kind of things. So
The Greenland thing is just for minerals. That's it.
well, I'm sure that again, it's about getting rich, right?
Yeah, well, it's just for minerals because they don't want to tear up the United States. They'd rather go tear up Greenland.
That's probably true. That's
I mean, the
probably
reason
true.
why the reason why China can produce all these minerals because China doesn't give a shit about their country. They don't give a crap what they put back into the air. They don't put pollution into the oceans, all that kind of crap. They don't have any
Right.
regulations. The
Right.
United States, they have to go through so many regulations to do anything that it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Well, Greenland, same thing. They don't have to worry about that crap. So that's the main
Well,
reason why
I'm
they
sure
want it.
Denmark has something to say about that, but yeah, I would say that there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they do too. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Canada either. It's
It's an odd
I
tactic.
it's an odd tactic. They're all odd tactics, but I don't know. I think I saw the problem with everything that we all get is the same news from all the same outlets, and none of us know what the fuck's true. And I repeat that a lot because unless you're actually in the office, I don't think any of us know what's true or not.
Right.
So
I'm sure there's some truth to your statement. Um, I think they try to do the best they can. I don't think anybody's out to get us. Obviously, once they got rid of the what was it, the fairness doctrine or the whatever it was in 1980 that they got rid of, basically saying that you know we have to if we say something about one side, we have to say something about the other side. Once we got rid of that, it was kind of like, well, the media can do whatever they want, so they can pick
right.
sides or they can try. I think most of the major ones are fairly in the middle. I know people are going to laugh and say, "Oh, well, CNN, they're not. They're just totally liberal and blah 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 blah." Being a Republican who leans pretty left at this point in time, a still registered Republican who would like to see his party be a little bit more normal. Um, I, I I really think most of them are pretty normal. I don't I don't I think they try to go down the middle. Um, and then you've got your far right stuff, and you do have some far left stuff. I don't think the far left stuff has much traction actually, but maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't either. It's crazy. I don't know. It's really really hard to hear sometimes. And the reason why I like to poke the bear is because three or four people that are out there that are very very far left extremists. Those are the ones I like to poke, and then they blame me for being Republican, which they don't even know me and know what I'm doing. So I'm just pointing out their bullshit.
Sure.
So
Well, like
it's
I
just
said,
one of those things.
the best part about poking the bear is many times pointing out somebody's hypocrisy or what you feel is their hypocrisy. Now, they don't feel like they're being hypocrites. And maybe I'm the one that's being the hypocrite. I will post my views here.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'll try to be as, I think we're going to have, you know, the kind of conversations that most people should be having and are not having because they're doing what we were doing on social media. They were just
Right.
snippet, poke the bear, retreat, which
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
solve
what I
anything,
always say.
right? Yeah,
Yep, that's what I always tell these people. I always go into back messenger and say, "Hey, here's my phone number. If you want to pick up the phone and actually call me and have a conversation, maybe we can learn who the hell both are." And that's how
right.
me and you met.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I
So
mean,
basically,
yeah. Yeah.
it's just one of those things.
Other than when we met in high school. Right.
Correct.
Correct.
So, but what we're trying to solve today and what we're trying to do today is Andy and I are both semi-retired, fat, 50, happy, moving around. We're just trying to figure out something to do in life. So why not come on here, talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. There is no limits. So if you as a listener out there have comments, want to comment on this, give us ideas what to talk about, make us go forward, make us go backwards. We don't care. It's one of those things. Let's get it going and shoot for, like I said, weekly episodes. We're gonna kind of do a pull with hat scenario. So we're gonna both put like 3 to 4 ideas in the hat, and then we're gonna pull them each week, and we're gonna talk about those and see where the conversation goes, and see what I don't know, see what arguments we may arise, and hopefully we can get some friends on here that are, like I said, are far right, are far left. Is it all going to be politics? No. I'm gonna go into college educations. That's my big thing. I'm a big fan of Mike Rowe and bringing back the reality of um, non-education people and going out and getting taught a skill versus an education.
Sure.
I think an education is bullshit. Everything that can be taught in 4 years can be really taught in two, because the school is mandating you take 9 to 12 extra classes that are not needed.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
So
Education's obviously could be a fun topic. Lots of things we can talk about, but maybe I said it earlier, but every day it's writing itself. There's something new every day that we could talk about. So we could literally talk about something today that happened either today or yesterday. And then tomorrow we'd have new material already because it's
exactly
happening right as we speak. I mean, it's amazing
every day.
that every day something is in the news. And I don't think 4 years ago, obviously COVID 5 years ago was a big deal. But once COVID kind of disappeared, there was a 2 or 3 year period where, yeah, some stuff happened. I'm sure the right didn't like what Biden was doing. I
Yeah.
always challenge people to say, what exactly I always tell people to be specific. That's my biggest thing.
The renamed flu.
Be specific.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, why don't you like it? Or if you say, I hated Biden. Okay, great. What
Why?
exactly did you not like about him? Is he
Yeah.
old? Yeah, we all knew that going in. Trump's old too, so kind of not really a good, maybe not the best thing to hate because we didn't have, we had two old people to choose from. Um, did you hate him because he stuttered and it made him sound like he was dumb? He's had a stutter all his life. That's not something to critique, other than the fact that, yeah, sure, there were times that he had missteps. We all have missteps, and we can point to 100 things that Trump has said in the last 100 days. So, again, not really, if you're picking on Trump or Biden, they kind of had a lot of the same issues. So, um, so then what policies did you not like? Were there certain policies? Be
Well, here
specific. So I'll challenge
let's talk about
you.
one policy.
I'll challenge
Let's
you
talk.
to pick
Okay.
policies if you don't like something. I'll challenge, if we have listeners or if we have somebody that comes on the show, that's something we'll try to do is just challenge them to make sure that they're prepared because here it's kind of like Christy Noam going out in front of the Senate committees. She doesn't even know what habeas corpus is.
I don't know. Same as
That's
AOC. She doesn't know what
that's a
any of these are.
that's a sad sight, right? So if you got somebody that's in a position like that can't even explain what habeas corpus is, we got a problem. So anyway, those are the things that I'm gonna probably bring to the table is challenge you or challenge our listeners or challenge um, anybody that comes on the show.
Yep.
Bring some
So,
ammo. Bring
so here's
something to
the,
back it up. Don't just bring your emotions because
the
that's the main problem in our country, I think, is we get emotional about these things and then we don't really a lot of times know what we're talking about. And I'll admit hey,
I'm full of
me,
shit.
me. I do it
Yeah.
too. So
I'm full of shit, so it doesn't
so
matter.
I mean, we have to admit we call it two idiots because we're a couple of idiots. We are not the smartest people in the world.
Yep.
Um, but we can have a conversation that maybe somebody smarter can help us with, or somebody can come on and say, yeah, this is where you
So
should be going, or this is what you should be thinking. So
so
I don't know.
this is the one topic I wanted to bring up for today. And then after
Yeah.
this, we're gonna kind of take this one down, and then we're gonna figure out what our next session's gonna be like, and then we're gonna go from there. Um, but right now, our idea is to basically start talking about our opinions. And what's your opinion about the auto pen, sir?
Well, I think it's just an opinion. Obviously, the auto pen is um, a little scary, but we also don't know 100%. Again, I think we had that conversation earlier. If we weren't in the room, we don't know that it happened. So did some stuff get rubber stamped? Maybe, possibly. Um, are we worried that? I guess the question is, what exactly are we upset or worried about? Are we worried that Biden didn't know what was happening and somebody else behind the scenes was pulling the trigger? Is that the question?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, they both everybody uses it. So it's not a term of who used it. It's a term of when they use it. So the auto pen is there for, I think, for basically the president to go, okay, little Johnny, here, take this downstairs, get it signed, because I have to go do something else. Um, I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen on the news, there's 3,700 documents that have been signed by the auto pen, and then half of all his pardons were auto penned.
Half of the what was the word?
Pardons?
Pardons. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, depending on how many you had to do, um,
I mean, 8,000?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't know the number, so we can research that and look at it at a future time. But I will say this: if you did, I don't know, if you had to sign your name 1,000 times in a day, you get pretty tired.
I get it.
So I, I, I guess the question is, if you make some sort of executive decision, either an executive order or you make an executive decision, or the Congress has passed this and it's your turn to sign it. If you're not vetoing it, I guess I'm not really worried how it got signed, as long as again, as long as he didn't come out and say, "Well, I vetoed it, but Kamala was back there and she auto penned it, so that's a
That's
problem."
my point.
Or,
Who did it? That's my point of it.
well,
So
like I said, then it goes back to, okay, are we worried that either Trump or Biden, no matter who is doing it, isn't uh, of sound mind to sign something, or isn't of sound mind to make a decision, and so somebody behind the scenes is making a decision. Both sides will say that, you know, the right will say that Trump is not he has cognitive issues, um,
yeah,
and he rambles a lot. I mean, I've never he sounds like an auto salesman in most of his speeches, but he just kind of rambles and rambles. So could he have cognitive issues? He could. He might. I don't know. Um, did Biden have cognitive issues at the end? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably.
sure.
I mean, um, I have cognitive issues from time to
We
time.
all do.
So to say that a 78 or an 81-year-old person uh, doesn't have help, here's the deal. If you're let's put it this way. If you're the CEO of a company and you're the smartest guy in the room, that's a problem.
Right.
You do not, as a CEO, want to be the smartest guy in the room. Because if you have to talk down to everybody, or if you're working with people that are not helping you make decisions or helping you run a company, helping you make the financial decisions or the technical decisions, um,
Yep.
the security decisions, Biden was probably not the smartest guy in the room.
Correct.
Trump was not the is Trump is definitely not the smartest guy in the room. He's maybe the coyest guy in the room, or the sneakiest guy in the room, according to me.
Yep.
But I guess the question again, it goes back to: did he veto it? Was Biden? Did he did he have a problem with anything that got passed? I don't know. I personally don't think it's a huge deal. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of our point to this whole thing is that we will never know, and we don't know, because if you even so I researched it real quick for us. So I've got 7 different news outlets. Every one of them has a different number of how many he
Sure.
signed.
Yeah.
So it ranges anywhere from 4,100 to 8,100.
And this is Biden, right?
That's just Biden. Yeah.
That's just Biden.
Yeah, that's just Biden. I mean, Trump has 1,600. He's got anywhere from 950 to 2,100. So
And
950,
was that in
1,600,
his
2,100.
first term? Was that in his first term,
That was
Doug?
in
Or
his
what?
first and part of this term, because
Okay.
he's already pardoned like 350 so far
Yeah.
at presidency.
And Trump even said the other day, he goes, "Hey, I've done it. I've used it." So I guess the
Yeah,
question is it an issue? Is it a legitimate issue that we should be worried about? I
I
don't.
think it's 100% an issue. I think it
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
I think the auto pen needs to go away because
Okay.
number one, if the president is the chief in charge, he needs to be signing everything. He needs to know what his signature is going on.
Sure.
So,
I get that.
if I'm the one signing the checks for a company that I own, and then I know I don't have payroll and I get charged for uh cashing 500 checks that had no money in the account, I can say, well, I didn't write those. That was auto pen.
Sure. Yeah. But you know that owners don't write checks, right?
I understand that, but my point is it's was it his son? Was it any of that? I mean, who knows? Was it his wife? Was it the director of education? That got terminated? We don't know.
Right.
Nobody knows.
I can I totally understand why it could be an issue. I do get it. Do I think it's a huge issue? Like, this is the first issue we're talking about, and on my list of issues, I would say it's pretty low on the totem pole. For you, it might be higher, and that kind of will explain to some people where two people come from, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying don't think it's a huge deal. They both do it. I understand why CEOs don't sit around and sign checks all day. They have finance teams that do that.
So
Um,
I'm Joe Biden, and you're Joe Guy, and your brother's in jail, and four people on the board, and you come in with $400,000 and give that to somebody to go use the auto pen to get your brother out of jail. You don't think that's a problem?
I do think that's a problem, and it just happened,
I know.
but it happened on the other side,
Which side?
on Trump's side. He just did that.
Well, it happened on Biden's side also.
So I guess, tit for tat, maybe? I don't know.
I
I
guess,
suppose it
but
depends on, how much you're spending, and where is the money going and what are we doing with it?
right.
Um, I don't know which specific brother you're talking about that, got that gave money. I do know that, the daughter of those Christian celebrities that had a $30 million, she spent
Endowment.
$1 million, and next thing you know, they got a pardon. So I guess here's the deal: if I got $1 million and that'll get my brother out of jail,
Fucking damn right I'm gonna give him
why
I'm gonna give
wouldn't
him
you?
$1 million.
You
Exactly.
know?
If I'm that close to
Um,
that guy, why not?
yeah. Now it kind of depends on if I think my brother's an asshole or not, or if I think he should stay in jail, or
Right.
but I can understand. Trust me, I understand why money talks. I mean, that's not even a thing, right? We know that money talks. If you got it and you can spend it, you will
Do
get
what it
some
takes.
sort of reward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I get it. I
yeah,
mean, we talk about how smart and stupid we are and not.
yeah,
You look at the four top richest people. So you look at Gates, you look at Facebook. Um, I mean, the only one that's created. I mean, even Elon didn't create his company. I mean, he bought it
yeah,
and regenerated it. So and then Gates stole it from Apple, and Facebook stole it from the brothers. So it's not about what you know; it's about how you get there and being in a lucky spot, and then getting somebody else to run it. I mean,
sure.
that's
Yeah, I
same thing.
mean, yeah. Those guys were. Trump's the same way. They're all
Well,
the same
100%.
way.
Well,
All of them are
Trump,
the
Trump,
same way.
all money, Trump's money didn't come from Trump. Trump came from his dad.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
mean,
you either given money or you were, blessed money. I get it. I'm the beneficiary of being in a great relationship.
right?
That okay, it's who you know. It's how Um, I would love her to death if she had zero money. Wouldn't matter to me. And I'm not here to, start a new company or, yeah, okay, maybe we're starting a podcast, so let's see what this does, right?
Right.
Um,
That's a new
but
company.
yeah, I mean, I get all what I think is hilarious about, the richest people in the world. There's a lot of Elon Musk fanboys out there who just love the hell out of that guy and haven't quite figured out why. Because,
Yeah, not
and they
either.
all think he's created all this stuff. Like he's just this super rich, super genius. And it's like,
No,
again,
he's a
now I'll
he's
give him
he's a
credit.
boss. He's a boss that directs traffic and puts high demands on his people.
What I will give him credit for, yes, is he's not, I think he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but he does put smart people around him. Now, I don't know if he puts smart enough people around him that don't challenge him, because that's always a problem too. If you've got somebody that uh, yeah, you find that you think you're the smartest. Maybe let's say I start a company. I think I'm the smartest guy in the company. I think I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I've done a nice job of putting really smart people around me, but they threaten me. I feel threatened by them. Guess where they're going? They're gone. That's what most people do. They get threatened by people that are better or smarter, better looking, like me versus you. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I don't
but
take any
young,
offense to that.
whatever it would be, there's this threat, right? We all feel threatened, and I think this will be a common theme. Um, you probably will hear me say this a few times, but there are people in this country that feel threatened by somebody that is smarter, better looking, um, maybe a different color, different race, different religion, different whatever. Differences challenge us. And if we don't figure out a way to accept differences instead of combat them all the time, or we got way more problems to think about. So,
Right. That's the fact of sitting down, listening, and having an actual conversation.
right.
That's what that's what
As opposed
this
to
is. That's
you and I
that's where
poking
this
each
came
other.
from. That's where this came from.
Well, exactly. And that's what I think this is going to be fun, because we can do this, a couple times a week, which we plan to do.
Right.
Um, Try to ramp it up, make sure that we get some listeners and get some people excited about what we're talking about. Maybe hearing two white guys be super boring, maybe it won't work. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll try. We'll do our best to make it entertaining at least.
And we
Um,
had that conversation yesterday about
yeah,
racial certain stigmas and that kind of thing.
yeah,
But it's
yeah. We'll
yeah,
see.
I'm
We'll
I'm
see.
excited. I'm excited to see where this thing goes, and I hope everybody out there that understands this, this doesn't happen without anybody else. Me and Andy can just sit here and ramble on about anything all day long and have conversations, but without the interaction of people saying, okay, we want to hear your opinions on this, or we want to hear your opinions on that. And also give us feedback on whether you want us to go live so that we can answer questions live. We can also do that also.
That'd be
And
cool.
that's the fun part about this. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll do a TikTok live over here and a Riverside live right here, and then a YouTube live over here, and then we can answer all these questions that people are throwing in there.
yeah.
So that's the fun thing about this. So what to expect going forward. Weekly episodes. Our goal is to do 2 or 3 a week, hopefully upload. That's the process. You know, but topics that we want to cover, political issues, obviously, policy breakdowns, hot button debates, on daily stuff, and basically social quirks. I'm a social quirk. That's the way we go. Guests, do we want to have guests? I hope so. Like I said, I want to bring some extremists on here. I want to bring some idiots on here, just like us. Um, and I want the rants and I want the humor. That's what I want. I expect humor, the blunt honesty. That's part of it. How do
Right.
how do we get that out of everybody? Who knows? Hopefully everybody's honest or earnest or however you want to say it. But you never can tell. So,
So
what's your
tell
thoughts on any of that?
tell well, I think a lot of what you said was just super accurate. Maybe give a slight more background about you, like you've moved or you married, or tell everybody a little bit about yourself personally, and then that way when somebody goes, well, I don't remember what happened. What was that was in podcast one or whatever.
Yeah, well, again, everybody, my name is Doug McCarty, obviously. I said my name at the beginning. Andy and I went to high school together in Omaha, Nebraska. I grew up, middle of nowhere, basically. Had a lot of fun, drank my ass to death. Got really, really drunk all through high school. Drank my way out of college. Got myself into 6 DUIs. Got sober in 1995.
Where'd you go to college,
Well,
Doug?
I flunked out of Kearney State.
I can understand why you were drinking there.
Yeah, there's not much to do out there. So
It's Carney. I get it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So went out there, you know, did my thing and started a construction company back in Omaha and did fairly well at that. Had a few rentals here and there, had a few houses everywhere. Got divorced in 2006, moved to Champaign, Illinois with my son and started over there and now I'm in Louisiana and enjoying the heat and having fun and that's basically where we're at.
Gotcha.
Andy, I emailed Andy and said, you know what? Why don't we fucking do a podcast? And again, people, you're gonna hear a bunch of beeps because I use the F word a lot, so I will edit those out. Um, but
Are we leaving the word
it's
shit in?
yeah,
All right, good.
you can leave that way. The F word
We'll
gets a
just beep
little
the F word.
messy
Okay.
every now and then. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like to have conversations with people that are like minded. And again, even the ones that aren't like minded, if they're reasonable, I like to have conversations with them too. But if
Right.
they're unreasonable, that's the problem with half of society.
Right.
It's their way or no way. And that's not a conversation.
Right. I think a lot of people are that way. I think I get it. They want
Yeah.
to, again, they want to be heard. The social media is I can't remember if we said this before we started recording or after, but certainly, social media has provided a voice, whether you're heard or not. You may be talking to the abyss, or into a vacuum, but there's a lot of people that are very want to be very vocal and want to be heard. I think that'll be probably another really interesting topic we can cover. Is Does Andy talk with his hands too much? No, I'm does uh is is the what's the biggest problem in the country? And one of the things I would say that is a completely ignored issue, I personally think the biggest problem in America is loneliness. People are lonely. And so when they get lonely, some of them don't know what to do. They go to the bar, um, they sit at home, they play video games, they watch TV, they don't talk to people. They may not know how to talk to people, but they get depressed. And then they want to blame things on, you know, they want to blame their loneliness a lot of times on outside factors, or whoever's in the White House, or whatever, whoever the mayor is, or whatever it might be. I think it's one of those problems that we don't discuss enough, and it'll be a topic we can have another day. But um, I'll go back, kind of do what you just did. Out of high school, I went to Lincoln, University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Um, I found out really quickly that I didn't know how to study properly. High school came really easy for me, and then college kind of kicked my ass a little bit. I was like, "Whoa, I gotta actually study." Like,
Yeah.
I just figured I'd learn more stuff, and my brain was big enough, and I figured out real quickly that I wasn't that smart, and I didn't know how to study very well. But before I graduated, couple things. My mom said, you have a face for radio," so that was always nice to hear. Um,
Nice.
and so, uh, but she also said, "You know what, Andy? I can't see you sitting behind a desk for the rest of your
Yeah.
life." So I went into the sports card business, memorabilia, sports cards. So
Yeah.
sports has kind of been important all my life. If you look at my desk, it's covered by sports cards of all kinds. Um, I have a passion for sports. I have a passion for that. I always have. But I dated off and on for years. I was engaged when I was 27. She was 38. Um, didn't work out. and I've still never been married, but I've been with Laura for almost 13 years now. We have an amazing relationship. Um, and so I'm very blessed, that a blessed life, because I've kind of been all over the board. I've never been blessed with money until again now, and part of that is not because of me. I can freely admit it.
Right.
But what I will say is I've experienced a lot of things along the way. I've been broke along the way a bunch of times. So I know what it's like to be that person that is very privileged, but I also know what it's like to be broke and not have things and wonder, well, how am I going to pay that bill, or how am I going to pay that bill? So I think we both had that journey where it's kind of smack you in the face journeys. We both had blessings and we both had trials and tribulations. So this will be an interesting journey for us, I think. Um, I was pretty right leaning for a long time, up until maybe 45, 48 years old, something like that. And as I was in a relationship and saw someone who had connections with nonprofits and things like that, I started to understand why people do some of the things they do, and I started to understand why some of the people that are broke are broke. It's not because they don't want to
That's
work.
one of the arguments that me and you have that we differ on.
Yeah, I there are a lot of people and again, I think it's a generalization to say that people that are broke because they don't want to work hard. I think
It's
some
not
people will
because of that.
say,
It's because it's because they're not educated about the system. The system is broke coming in because we don't we don't get taught how to make money. We get
right,
taught how to do school and listen.
true. Yeah, that's a fair thing, and I think uh, one of the things though is that depending on where you got your education, like here in Omaha, if you lived out in West Omaha, you probably got a little bit more education about what you should do the rest of your life, and if you lived in an area that was a little more impoverished, we're just trying to get you through. We want you to graduate and kind of hoping for the best. So I think there are, and I'm not saying again, that's a very blanket statement, but I think there are some things that lend itself to, and I think I've done more research over the last 10 years than I did the first 46 of my life. So I feel like
Sure.
I've learned more about, kind of like you say, the systems and how things work, and not everybody's out to get you, and not everybody not everybody that's on food stamps is a criminal, and those kind of things. So we'll have some really interesting conversations, I think, going forward. And obviously, we won't see eye to eye, but I think um, just being able to have those conversations is going to be
It's cool.
pretty enlightening, hopefully for our listeners.
I hope so. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. Because, like I said, that's those last three comments that you made are areas that where me and you have had some pretty long, drawn out text battles
Sure.
and talked about that stuff. But that's the great part about this. Um, so wrapping this thing up for today, we're going on right about an hour. I just wanted to introduce ourselves to the listeners. Again, my name is Doug McCarty, Andy Tingwald. Uh, we're both people that are in our mid 50s. Some say we're over the hill, some say we may be out of touch. But you know what? Our opinion matters just as much as the young people's matter. So what we're trying to do is have a conversation amongst the social media blitz that everybody can be involved to maybe where we're not here to be right. We're here to create thought. And that's what this is about. So if you've got an opinion, great. Bring it on. I'll throw in my opinion on it. I know Andy will throw his on there, and we can all have a conversation and enjoy life. So that's
Looking
basically all
forward
I've
to it,
got for
Doug.
today.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's going to be a good journey for us.
I think so too. I'm excited for it. I don't think it's going to be Joe Roganist, but hey, we're fucking here and we're doing what we want to be. So
Well, my goal is to have Mark Cuban on at some point in time.
let's
That's
get
it.
him on.
That's where we're going.
Okay, we'll
Let's set
start.
that as a goal.
Yep.
Mark Cuban, will you come on our show at some point? We have two listeners right now, and it's him and
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
we'll see how
It's
this
it's
goes.
Doug and Andy. We are our own listeners. I got to listen to him. He's got to listen to me, and we're just pity partying the whole thing.
Damn right. All
So
right.
again,
Good
we
first
can't thank you
effort.
all enough, but appreciate it, and
Yep.
we'll see you on episode 2.